So today I want to talk to you about the size of roaster you might need. I get messages all the time. People are always interested in buying a roaster, but they don't quite know what size roaster would be the best for them. Some people are coming out of kitchen roasting. Some people have a cafe and they want to start roasting coffee so this way they can save money and not have to buy beans from other roasters. So there's all different things to consider. I'm going to assume that you're somewhere in the 1 kilo roaster option to the 3 kilo roaster option. And that's a really good starting point for people who are starting out, just like myself, where I was going from doing a whirly pop in the kitchen. I want to do the breakdown because this is the thing that I always do for every person that emails me. They're like, I don't know what size I want, or I'm going to start a cafe, or I want us to do a micro roasting. And oftentimes they're kind of underestimating the amount of power they need. So let's break this down. I have a 1 kilo roaster can output roughly about 2.2 pounds of coffee. That's 1 kilo is about 2.2 pounds of coffee. Now, that sounds like a lot of coffee, but when you roast, you don't roast at 100% of your roasted capacity. Every single manufacturer is going to tell you that you are capable of roasting 100% capacity, but when you start doing some research about roasting, everybody's going to tell you to roast at about 80% capacity. Why do you do that? Because it allows you a little bit of room in terms of how to affect the profile, how to affect your coffee. If it's got too much coffee in the roaster, your roast is going to be really sluggish. You're going to do gas adjustments, your air adjustments, everything is going to take forever. 80% capacity allows you to kind of fine-tune things, and you can move a little faster, and you can, have a little more control, and that's what you want. So let's do the math on this. If you have a 1 kilo roaster, 80% of that roaster is about 1.75 pounds of coffee. The 1.75, if you have generally, everybody's losing between 10 and 12%, 13%. When you roast, you're losing moisture. When you're losing moisture, you don't put 1.75 pounds of coffee in and get 1.75 pounds of roasted coffee out. You'll actually get 1.5 pounds of roasted coffee out. So now you have that much coffee to sell. And you have to kind of factor in. So if you're talking about 15 minutes of roast time, that's what it takes me to roast, and that's generally what it takes everybody to roast, one batch of coffee. Every 15 minutes, you'd be getting 1.5 pounds of coffee. That would yield you 2 12-ounce bags of coffee. So this is a 12-ounce bag. Got it? So this is technically a bag big enough for 16 ounces. You can buy these on Amazon. I can make on my 2 kilo, I can make 4 of these every 15 minutes, where if you had a 1 kilo roaster, you would be making 2 of these every 15 minutes. So you do the math. In an hour, you can get 8 of these bags to sell. In a 2 kilo roaster, you would get 16 bags, and in a 3 kilo roaster, you'd get about 24 bags every hour. And this is being efficient. As you can see, when I'm roasting, I'm usually, when I'm not making videos, I'm setting my beans up for the next roast. I'm doing what's called the between batch protocol, where I'm turning the gas up, adjusting, making all my adjustments, and getting everything ready. And then I'm going to drop. Maybe I have a 2-minute window of time between when my last batch dropped out of the drum into the cooling tray, and my next batch is going to go into the roaster. And that's efficiency. That's what you're looking for, because if you're looking to make a little bit of money on this, you need to be efficient. You need to know how much money can I make in an hour. If you've got a 1 kilo roaster, you're looking at basically making, if you're efficient and you're able to bag at the same time, $96 an hour, right? That's if somebody was literally right there waiting to buy it. Okay, and then if you have a 2 kilo roaster, you're looking at about $192 an hour. And again, that's if people are right out there to buy it. But there's a little bit of room there to do some marketing, to post about it, to sell it, and then you have a little bit more room to profit margin. And then if you have a 3 kilo roaster, then you're looking at about $288 per hour. And that leaves you some room for hiring employees potentially, right? For having a little bit of waste, giving things away for free. So this will give you a little bit of an idea of what size roaster you might want and you might be considering purchasing if you're just starting out. If you're just going to sell to friends and family, probably a 1 kilo roaster. If you're planning on kind of building up and having a little bit of a micro kind of roasting business, I would say a 2 kilo roaster is good. Even if you have a small cafe and you don't plan on growing, a 2 kilo roaster is probably fine. You can roast for a few hours once every week or two, and you'll probably have enough coffee to sell and provide your customers. But if you want to grow from there, a 3 kilo roaster is probably going to be the best bet, especially if you're going to be maybe hiring somebody else out to do the roasting for you. It gives you a little bit more of leeway in your margins. So that's basically what you would consider in terms of buying a roaster. I also brought some other things out here that I wanted to show you. How to save money on doing labels and how to save money on buying your bags. Whenever you're figuring out your costs, how did I come up with the number of like $96 an hour or $192 an hour? Well, I'm factoring in how much it costs for my beans, right? Once I've lost the percentage of moisture and I've got whatever's left, how much did I spend on those beans? But then how much does it cost for this bag? And then how much does it cost for this label? Okay, so basically you can buy these bags. These are the ones with the valve, the one-way valve. They seal. If you get you have to get a little sealer, but you don't need to get a vacuum sealer. You just basically seal these shut. You squeeze them a little bit. Air goes out. No air goes back in. Okay, so this one's been sealed. When most of the air has been drained out, but even still, there's gases being produced inside. Once a bean is roasted, there's gases being produced. So those gases are going to, have a way to get out. That's why we have these vents. If you get the traditional brown bags, the craft ones, those don't have any venting, so they'll start to get really puffy. These are really good, and these will last. These will hold up for a good amount of time. You can roast these. You'll see them in the supermarket for. They'll be there for months. But generally, you probably get a good, I would say your beans will be good for the first, anywhere from like a week to, a couple of months. You can get these printed up at any printer. The more, obviously, you order, the better. Now, I have mine. You'll notice that there's nothing marked here, but here it says Ethiopia Highland. Got it? This was the last Ethiopia. This is actually the last bag of this Ethiopia that I'm going to be sending out. What I bought was a laser printer, guys. So I bought these, and instead of putting Ethiopia on this, and having it pre-printed, where maybe I sell out of this, or maybe something happens, and now I've got all these labels that I can't use because maybe I can't get any more of this Highland coffee. You buy a laser printer, and basically what you do is you print right on that label. Generally, a laser printer should be able to do it. Now, if you're there might be an issue where you rub it and this will come off. Some people that happens. What I recommend doing is you could buy this. It's a type of gloss spray paint. You can find it in an art store that you quickly, not when it's bagged, but when you're printing the labels, you just hit it with a little bit of that. And I'll have 15, 20, 30 labels printed up, and I'll just hit them with this gloss, and it'll protect it from rubbing. And that's kind of the secret to printing on your labels and not having it kind of rub off. One other thing before I jump off. You'll see these I got from a company called Smart and Final. You can also order these. These are great. If you have a 2 kilo roaster, every batch that you have will fill up half of one of these. 7.5 quart at the top. So basically 2 batches is one of these. And so if you're just back-to-back roasting, you'll see this Columbia. This is 2 roasts of Columbia, fills it up perfectly, and now I'm ready to start bagging if I want to start bagging now, or I can let these sit in here for a night or two until I'm ready to start bagging. So these, this is what I use. Actually, this is the Ethiopia that I roasted today. We made a video about. So this is a pet food container. This was recommended to me by the guy who actually hooked me up with Artisan and helped me get set up. This is a pet food container. Why do I use this? Because it's got rodent protection. It's also air sealed. Nothing can get into this, and it's super, super durable. I go to so many coffee shops, and I see their bags and bags and bags of coffee in burlap, and I'm like, that is terrible. Now, hopefully they're sealed with plastic and everything, but oftentimes I've received coffee in burlap and there's nothing between the bean and the air besides the burlap. And I'm thinking to myself, that shit is drying out. So this is a really good way to keep your beans for at least a few, like anywhere from 3 to 9 months or something like that. I've had these beans and I find that they last a long time. If you're interested in purchasing a Yoshan roaster, I mean, talk about saving money, guys. It's way cheaper than purchasing a Diedrich or Probat or Mill City. I bought mine in 2019 and I have not had a problem with it since. So if you're interested in getting one for yourself and saving yourself some money, I can get you a discount on it if you email me, rob@ocdcoffeeclub.com. And I'll have my email in the description as well. Also, keep in mind, all the coffee that I roast here, guys, I sell this coffee. Maybe you're interested in buying one of these roasters, or maybe you're just like, holy shit, this guy's cranking out all this coffee, I want to try some. Then, feel free to go to ocdcoffeeclub.com and buy a bag for yourself, and I usually ship it out within, a few days. That'll help support me as well. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day.